What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we have some price swinging going on over here in the Bitcoin price chart and in the altcoin market. So we'll take a peek at what's going on today. Maybe just like an hour and a half ago, the market was up about 1.5%. Now we're down about 0.5%. So about a 2% swing that's happened here once the stock market opened. So we'll take a peek at what's going on with the price action. I've had a busy morning already. I've already put out the market update for March over there on bcbacker.com. So that's available to anybody who is already enrolled in the course and anybody who newly enrolls. It's all the way down there. March 31st, range breaks upward. Bitcoin retracing with positive altcoin market movement for the month of March. So it's been a pretty good month this month, over the course of the last 4 to 5 months, as you know, like November, December, January, those were all downward months. February was more of kind of a recovery month and us able to hold the lows in February. March has been more of a march upward. So it's been a positive month for the month of March. But as we're getting here towards our, monthly candle close, looks like we're seeing a little bit of volatility come in here. So as we know, back there on February 27th, that was the day we broke free from this 81-day range. You can kind of look and see what's going on with price action here right now. Nothing too crazy, right? Kind of still hasn't even really backtested the top of the range breakout that it was in. So nothing too crazy with really just kind of a wick here. Look at it on the 5-minute price chart. You could see, bouncing off here. We'll see by the time I'm finished recording where this kind of settles out at. But one of the things we talked about in Tuesday's video, and I talked about this over there in the market update as well, is how we're stuck here underneath this 200-day moving average right now for Bitcoin. It's the same story for Ethereum and for the altcoin market. So that's kind of where we're at right now as we go in to finish off March is can we get through this 200-day moving average? As we know, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was able to get through it. So they've been able to close 2 days on top of it. This morning, kind of had a fall just like we see over there in the crypto market, and it's kind of wicked its way back up here. One of the things we've spent a lot of time talking about on this channel, of course, is like a slow and grueling style retracement coming in here for Bitcoin and studying how these things look like. Typically we're looking at it from the inverse scale. So, for people who have been around a long time, you've seen it from this perspective. But if, for people who are kind of new, we can flip it back to this scale to kind of make it easier on the eyes to understand that these things can sometimes take a long time before they can get back into the retracements. But in 2018, into the retracement after Bitcoin had topped, that's when we were seeing a lot of action over there in the altcoin market. So that's what I'm rooting for. That's what I'm cheering for right now. When we're looking at it in this kind of perspective and that we've talked about this slow and grueling retrace for so long, find it kind of ironic. You get back into the top of that channel and you have that 200-day moving average coming in to stop it out at that exact point. I just wouldn't be surprised if we do see Bitcoin really pause out for quite a while in here. And, just 3 videos ago, this is what we were talking about. So I'll just play like a minute of this real quick to give you an idea of what my thought process was before we had the breakout. So hopefully we see a breakout that happens throughout the next couple of days, taking us into the weekend. I know people could use a little bit of positivity in their lives. I'm there. I'm with you too. The thing that, I've talked about with this is that, I know that when we break through ranges or we get out of a range, there could be a ton of excitement thinking, hey, this breakout indicates, boom, we're going to all-time highs. And you would have to expect that on Twitter and everywhere. There probably will be posts everywhere saying we're going to all-time highs. If my thesis is correct, which is, of course, I believe in my thesis, is that, it's probably just still ranging, right? Even though it takes out that high, it doesn't mean it's not still just ranging like this, right? So for me, I still will remain cautious, even if any type of highs do get taken out. I know that puts a little bit of damper on the excitement of that range getting broken, but, that's just the things that I see happening in here. My thought process is that we're just working on a bigger retracement. And so, that's just kind of where I'm at right now, right? We had that little breakout that happened right in there, but my thought process has been that this is kind of a slower and grueling kind of retrace. You happen to have the 200-day moving average coming in there. You've got the parallel channel going on. It looks eerily similar to what happens in these kind of slow and grueling retraces that come in here. So I'm just remaining with, caution in regards to Bitcoin in here, that it's at the top of the channel. It's doing what we've seen done before. And that, over the last several weeks, we've talked about it, how, each of these breakouts, if we're in something like this, every time you get a new high, people get excited about it, but it doesn't mean it's able to hold it. Then it sets a new high, it's not able to hold it. Sets a new high, not able to hold it, not able to hold it. And it's just kind of this grueling kind of thing that ends up happening in here. So on my radar, my thesis is that this is best case, right? My thought process is not that Bitcoin's going to go fly into the upside in here. here, but that we're working something like this, and every high that happens in here is just the upper bound of a slower kind of gruel. And like I said in that video, kind of putting a damper on people, but that's not my intention. It's just, I'm trying to show you how these were the things I was looking for before they happened. And that, I'm being cautious right now because like I said before it would happen that I would be cautious when we got there. So that's where we're at right now. But there is something I want to show you optimistic that's happening in the market. And I'm not endorsing to purchase this coin. I don't own any of this coin. I don't recommend buying anything. I don't tell you guys when to buy, when to sell, or what to do. You do whatever you want to do. But I wanted to show you the similarities of what's been happening in here. And on top, I've got a coin called Zilliqa. Many of you are familiar with it. I see your comments in the comments of the videos. Why aren't you talking about this? Why aren't you talking about this? There's a ton of coins out there. I can't cover every coin and what they're doing, but I will show you this. So you can see on Zilliqa, this is the price action that we've seen since back in May. This is very similar to what we've seen on like everywhere in this market. Down here, I've got Verge. I'll flip through these to show you these in relation to Zilliqa. Down here, you've got Doge. You've got Dash, Sia Coin, Stellar Lumens, Monero, New Economy Movement, Neo, EOS, Bitcoin Cash, 0x, and the list goes on. But the interesting thing about this is, we've looked at what happened back in 2017 with a lot of the altcoins and the big drawdowns that we've seen happen in these things. And, Zilliqa in itself has pulled down here 87% during this pullback that we've seen in here. But that the structures that we're seeing in the altcoins and the timing of them happening, if Bitcoin's going into this retracement, that, in 2017 into Bitcoin's retracement is when the altcoins really topped out at. And last week, we spent some time really kind of going through various different altcoins on what they were doing prior to that phase before that big run up ended up happening in there where they all topped out into Bitcoin's retracement. Like looking at Sia Coin here, it had an 85% pull down. Very similar structure, right? It had this first big fall right here with no big recovery or big retracement, and then went on and set another new low just below the low in here, and then kind of bottomed out and then went on for its big run, topping into Bitcoin's retracement. We saw the same thing happen over here with Doge in 2017, having a big pull down, 84%, bottoming out below that first big fall right in here, and then, working its way up, topping out. And we saw that happen for Stellar Lumens as well, right? And the list goes on, but, we could see even Stellar Lumens here down 88%. Boom, turns up and goes on a big run. And I'm sure many of you are sitting there right now who have been following Zilliqa saying, wait a minute, that's not what the chart looks like right now. But I really wanted to show, how we had talked about this over the last several weeks in multiple videos. And in particular, maybe it was even earlier this week, but definitely within the last week, looking at these altcoins and showing how these structures did this after this type of setup. And what we've now seen happen over here on Zilliqa is the beginning of that phase coming in right in here. And Zilliqa has gone up 500% in the last week, taking out, almost a year's worth of downward price action happening in a week. And that's just what happens in cryptocurrencies. And it's until like max pain thresholds are hit, and then eventually it goes on and just releases all of that energy. And we're seeing that happen over there in Zilliqa. And that's a good early sign to see something like that happen, because that's what these structures all did in previous cycles, and they did them into Bitcoin's retracement is where those tops came in. And yeah, I just went back and checked. It was 4 videos ago right here. First leader emerging right in here is where we started talking about all of these setups right in here and running through a lot of these coins on how these setups did this with these big falls, holding it without really having a big recovery, a new low, and then boom, up and away it went. And that Zilliqa had that exact same thing, right? The big fall, not really getting a big retracement, breaking, and then boom, right away, it just goes up super fast. And that's one of the difficult things about crypto, is that how you have to kind of sit through some torture for quite a while. And then in a matter of no time, boom, it's up right in there. And then what ends up happening, of course, every time people are like, is it too late? Can I buy it? Should I buy it right now? Right? It's not like, hey, let's go find all the assets that still look like this right now. It's all about, wait a minute, I need to chase the one that's already done the 500% rise, right? But my point was showing all those other coins that, pretty much the almost the whole market looks like this. Of course, it's like 80% of the market looks like this, right? Is that it has this same setup happening in here. And like I talked with Verge, Doge, Dash, Sia Coin, and just that the list goes on and on and on, that they have that same setup happening in here like we talked about back there on the 23rd in this video that we had in here. And it's nice to see one of them do it, right? This is the thing that you just wait forever for, to see the market actually end up doing it. And we actually have one doing it precisely. But to see something like that happening, I have to remind myself of what were the conditions in the market of where we've seen alt seasons like that, right? So if Zilliqa is just like a leader, right, it's kind of given us a foreshadowing event of the things that could potentially come for the remainder of the market. What were the conditions in the market for that to happen back in 2017? And for those tops to come in, it was in a retracement in here, right? So I definitely still stick with the thought that, Bitcoin's just working on some kind of a retracement in here, and that, the altcoins can surge into that. And I know so many people think of it as me just being a fudster, a FUD starter, but I try to back up everything I say with charts and historical data to show, why I jump to the conclusions that I jump to. It's not to have any type of tribalism towards anything, right? I've always been in the belief camp that Bitcoin is the leader of the leader of the show. It is the star of the show. And without Bitcoin, we wouldn't have everything else that we have here. It's super important in this market. I've always maintained that belief. But the reality is that Bitcoin's gone on to hit a 4.236 extension. So that's, what my bear market thesis was when Bitcoin was, $6,000, $8,000, $3,000, is that, hey, 70K. And that, we've gotten up here and now we're working on some type of a retracement happening in here. And that's not to be a fudster. It's nothing, But the great news is into the retracements is when we've seen super mega runs in the altcoin market. And Zilliqa may be giving us that show, right? So that's exciting. But it still just, means this thing might not be doing what a lot of people are hoping for, and that something huge is coming, right? And so sometimes I'll hop into Bitcoin communities and listen in on what they're thinking, and they're all super excited, super euphoric right now. That makes sense. The sentiment is the best it's been in 4 months. We touched greed for the first time in 4 months, so you can just hear it in them of how excited they are to see Bitcoin doing this. But the reason I replayed the video from earlier today is I don't ever replay those things to do hey, I'm right. I'm humble enough, but I get humbled by the markets enough to know that you can't be 100% right. It's just not possible to be 100% right. So I'm humbled by the markets because I know I can be wrong sometimes. But the reason I played the clip from a week ago in here is that, when we got up here to show that, hey, this is what I expected, was that I'd still remain cautious about Bitcoin in here, and we do happen to have that 200-day moving average in here. And if this is the long and grueling retrace right in here, a lot of excitement's coming in for Bitcoin from getting out of that 81-day range, but it may just go sideways. The optimistic thing is look into that altcoin market. Can we see the action come in there? And just, in the last week, we've seen, Zilliqa go up 500%. That's a pretty good sign because Zilliqa has the exact same setup as a majority of the market has. So I'll take that all day to see that type of price action emerge in the market in the conditions that we're in right in here, because this is what happened in 2018 into a retracement. Altcoins go off and top. So definitely kind of a wacky day over here in the markets being up and down, but super optimistic to see something like this emerge in the market when we have this exact same setup everywhere. And on that note, we'll wrap this thing up. So I hope you guys are having a good week. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you're looking for something to do, you could check out my website over here, which is bcbacker.com. And it's a course that I put together where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs, the previous altcoin market cycles, tying them all together to show how the cryptocurrency market has worked in the past. I talk about my personal exit plans in here, and I teach you how to set up your own charts and your own indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. I talk a lot about mathematics and percentages and why those are so important to me. And the most recent market update is there today, March 31st, 2022. And you can check out all of this educational content over here on bcbacker.com. You could follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And I want to thank you so much for watching my channel. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.